Lakshanyam. Lakshata. Vilakshana. You can just, push that thing curtain, close so that it doesn't move, make noise. At this side, I always think, sometimes, they become a little, sorry to say, they become a little absurd. They're thinking. Whenever you plan to be different from somebody, you make mistakes. Whenever you plan to put up a view totally different from the other person's, you plan to oppose the other person, then even if he is right, you try to oppose him, then definitely you have to become absurd. You become absurd. It's like saying, you are wrong. Not because you are wrong, I say you are wrong. You are wrong because it happens to be you. Bas. You are wrong because it happens to be you. What you say is wrong because you said it. This is a peculiar thing. So Ragadveshas play a big role in all Shastra Vichar. Therefore, if a person is free from Ragadveshas in analyzing the truth, then the truth can't hide. Because truth hides behind our likes and dislikes. Ragadvesha, it hides behind Ragadveshas. What is there to like in this world? What is there to dislike? What is it we have come here? Before I came here, I knew nobody, no person, nothing. Because I have a common familiarity with all the details. I am equally form, I am familiar, sound familiar, taste, touch familiar, jiva familiar. Now this particular jiva I am more familiar, this particular jiva, all of them are jivas. Therefore, I think one has to bulldoze all these ragadveshas out. Bhagavan Krishna says, don't come under the spell. Don't come under the spell of ragadveshas. Okay, here comes a small little Purupaksha. There is a small little ambiguity. When Bhagavan says, don't come under likes and dislikes, this not coming under likes and dislikes, is it for relative peace or for understanding? I say it is for both. Because ragadveshas, when I am free from ragadveshas, it helps me gain mental peace, and the same freedom from ragadvesha makes me more objective in understanding the tattvam. In fact, freedom from ragadvesha plays a bigger role in understanding the tattvam and plays a relative role in relative peace, plays an absolute role in gaining absolute peace. It's a very big thing. Therefore, we judge everything not in the light of what we like or dislike, we judge everything in the light of whether it is right or wrong. उसमें आनंद होता है जी. भगवान शंकराचार्य uses the word very beautifully. वस्तु निर्धारण में रागद्वेषों का कोई स्थान नहीं है. वस्तु निर्धारण में, in determining what is reality, your likes and dislikes have no role to play. On the contrary, they come in the way. So these people, buddhi, somehow or other, they have their ragadveshas. Therefore, they sometimes become absurd, insane, obviously absurd. What do they say? The seed, the plant doesn't come out of the seed because the seed disappears. Okay, if the plant does not germinate from the seed, then you don't require the seed. Then they say, no, the plant does not germinate from the seed, but the plant germinates from the ingredients of the seed. Ingredients of the seed are not different from the seed. Ingredients are not different from the seed. Anyway, what you say only testifies, it only proves that something comes from something, not something comes from nothing. Something comes from something. Therefore, Satkaryavada you are proving. From what you say, Satkaryavada is being proved. What you say proves Satkaryavada, not Asatkaryavada or Shunyavada, Vainashikavada. And now, Vedanta makes it clear, the seed and its ingredients are two names, all right, mean the same. Vedantis have to become very clear right in the beginning. Noun is not different from all the attributes put together. All the attributes put together are themselves called the noun. And the noun itself, an analysis, is nothing but attributes. It's not like Ashwa and Mahisha. It's not like a cow and a horse. Cow is different, horse is different. In that manner, you can't say noun is different, adjectives are different. Therefore, either you say the plant germinates from the ingredients of the seed, or you say plant germinates from the seed, उसमें कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. If you say that it germinates from the ingredients, not from the seed, okay. But that also only proves Satkaryavada, not Asatkaryavada. Meaning what? Something comes from something. From the ingredients which are there comes the plant that is there. The plant rises from the ingredients. यहाँ तक we tried to understand these various points. We tried, and now we will go further. Yat punar bija akara samsthanam. Yat punar bija akara samsthanam. As regards the look of the seed. That samsthana means, the look, akara. How it looks. Samsthana means how it is placed. Samsthiyate asmin iti samsthana. Jisme how it is set, in which look it is set. It has got a given shape. That shape of a seed, yat punar bija akara samsthanam, yat punar bija akara samsthanam, tad bija avayava vyatirekena vastubhutam na vainashikaihi abhyupagamyate. Up to that. That seed, the look of the seed, the shape of the seed, the weight of the seed, the look of the seed, the dimension of the seed, the taste, the touch, the smell, the tenor, the texture of the seed is not accepted by the Vainashikas themselves as something distinct from its limbs, its ingredients. Yes. They also do not say that the noun is different from the ingredients. The noun, because it can't be proved, It can't be proved. Distinction between the noun and attributes can't be proved. So you have to say it's the same thing. Paribhasha bheda, na to vastu bheda. Paribhasha bheda hai. Alag-alag shabd prayog karte hain, lekin vastu mein hai. Therefore, yat punar bijakara samsthanam tad bija avayava vyatirekena vastubhutam na vainashikaihi abhyupagamyate. Yad ankura janmani upamridyeta. If you say that the ingredients of the seed become the plant, it means the seed itself becomes the plant, because they themselves say ingredients and the seed, ingredients of the seed and the seed are not two things. Then where is the mata bheda? We also say the ingredients are not different, the seed is not different. the noun is not different from its ingredients. Plant comes from the ingredients. Meaning what? Plant comes from the seed. Now why do you say the seed dies and what is left is shunyam, from that shunyam comes out of the plant? Then where is the question of shunyavada? That means you have no instance, you have no example, there is no instance which you can cite to prove that something comes out of nothing. And if you cite the plant, then it is not a proper drishtantam, because the plant is evidently coming out of something, not out of nothing. You tell me. You give another, you better change your analogy. You have to change your analogy because this analogy is not right, is not appropriate. Thus, we are just analyzing to press the point that there is no instance which you can cite where something is born out of nothing. And alongside, we are also rectifying their thinking that ingredients are not different from the noun. The attributes are not different from the noun. The limbs are not different from the limbed. The limbed is not different from the limbs. Like the body is not different from all its limbs. Alright, if you say the body is different from all the limbs, you say, I will take all your limbs and you keep the body. I will take your feet, I will take your hands, I will take your everything except dimag, because I am not interested. I will take all the other limbs of the body and keep the body to yourself. What about dimag? That also keep it. Because your dimag I am not interested. ऐसा कभी होता है. That is why that Vishwatomukham is a very beautiful part of the definition of a sutra. Meaning, while solving the problem, you solve a lot of related things also. साथ साथ बहुत कुछ कर लेते हैं, है ना? साथ साथ करना बहुत बड़ी. You are cooking also, and along with that, there are a lot of other things you are doing. All the dexterous, very expert housewives, the South Indian cook, South Indian cooks means all housewives. There are no cooks. Only every grihini also cooks, and that is the most reliable thing. A grihini supervising or cooking, using her hands to cook is the best. Healthiest for the family. But anyway, at that time they are so expert, my God. While cooking, they are doing so many other things alongside. They are cleaning also, washing also, and this also, grinding also. Everything. There is grinding work going on, cooking work going on. Chawal chadate hain, फिर grind करते हैं, vegetable काटते हैं, washing utensils and all. It is not like in the north. This is the distinction I have seen between the north and the south. I am sorry to say, don't curse me. They cook food in the kitchen and make it unclean. After cooking is over, then they start cleaning. In the south, I saw many. While cooking, they are also keep cleaning. They keep clean. At any point of time during the cooking, it is clean. साथ साथ साफ भी करते रहते हैं, साथ ऐसा नहीं कि कुकिंग के समय इतना मैस सब वैसे के वैसे पड़े रहते हैं. At the end, then you overhaul it. This, I have observed this distinction. It's a great, ingenious. But anyway, this is what is called Vishwatomukha. Means what? While doing one thing, you are attending to so many. So here, while dismissing the Buddhists, Shankaracharya is doing this. In order to prove the point that the Shunyavada is not true, we are also proving their related errors of concluding the distinction between the noun and adjectives. Yes, these are all useful. And now you see, Atha, the last sentence. Therefore, they can't say Upamridyeta iti up to that. You can't say the seed dies, but the plant comes out of the ingredients. You can't say. Say, if the ingredients really go into the germination of the plant, if they become the plant, if the ingredients become the plant, don't say the seed disappears, ingredients become the plant. Don't say. Why? Because there is no difference between the ingredients and the seed. Instead, you can say the seed becomes the plant or the ingredients become the plant. Nothing dies there. There is only becoming. There is no dying there. Dying means becoming zero. They don't become. It is a process of becoming. It is a parinama. It is a parinama. And in parinama there is no destruction. There is only parinama, change. That is why in yesterday's class, I tried to convey this point that Sankhyas are much more sane. Why? Because they do accept continuity of existence even with the change. Parinami nityam. Parinami nityatvam means like the body continues to be there, it doesn't lose its existence. With all its changes, it has continuity. Continuity along with the changes is called parinami nityam, changingly continuous. Changingly continuous. Truth is unchangingly continuous. That is called kutastha nityam. Kutastha nityam means remaining the same, it continues. Body continues, but not remaining the same. Body continues with all the changes. This is called parinami nityam. It is changeful and it has continuity. Nityam means within time. It has continuity. Parinami nityam. Within the srishti, within the sthiti kala, it continues. Atma is kutastha nityaha, Brahman is kutastha nityam, Atma tattvam is kutastha nityam, whereas objects are parinami nityam. They continue in time, they continue inside time, they continue inside creation. Objects continue inside creation with all the changes. That is called parinami nityam. Atma continues without any change, not inside creation, but as the source of the creation. It is always there without change. That is the timeless, the unchanging truth. Thus, this Sankhya is sena. It doesn't become absurd. Sankhya is not absurd. Sankhya is a very, very, very highly qualified, makes a small mistake, but he is very intelligent. Sankhya school is very good. Buddhists may commit absurdities. They say the seed disappears and the ingredients become the plant. Is it not absurd? There is nothing disappears. Everything remains but goes through change. It is like saying the milk disappears, and when the milk disappears, all that is left is shunyam, and out of the shunyam comes the curd. Because unless the milk disappears, the curd can't come. Therefore, the milk has to disappear for the curd to be born. ऐसा नहीं. The milk remains milk, but it undergoes change. Yes, because it has got in it something to change anyway. Thus, and then after analyzing the various schools, then we get a very beautiful clarity that is, all that is there are only two things. And the objects which change and ultimately resolve unto the truth. They don't disappear, they go back unto the source. It is not like a jadoo suddenly become nothing. We always think that now the life is, and suddenly it becomes just zero. Like a balloon, you go on putting breath into it, and suddenly it becomes nothing. Such a huge balloon becomes nothing. There also it doesn't become nothing. The air in it goes back to the air, total air. And that balloon remains in its, it goes back to its original size anyway. First it expands and then it becomes, it goes back to the earth. Air goes back to, it's almost like man dying. Body goes back to the earth. Breath goes back to the air. And the temperature goes back to the sunlight. All the devatas go back to their resource. And then the whole thing again goes back to the source, Brahman. Therefore, in Vedanta, the great distinction between Vedanta and the rest of the imaginations in this creation is that we always say things don't disappear, but they resolve, go back unto their source. ये जो thinking जो है, paves the way to understanding the truth. What is the truth? Where everything resolves is the truth. Tanishthasya mokshopadeshat. Tanishthasya mokshopadeshat. One of the sutras in Brahma Sutras is, जहाँ सारी चीजों का मोक्ष होता है, सत्य वो है जहाँ everything resolves. Disappears means resolves. Generally for us, disappearance means, becoming nothing. पता नहीं कैसे हो जाता है, एक जादू हो जाता है, suddenly it disappears. गायब हो जाता है. Understand, In English it is called disappearance. In Hindi it is called गायब हो जाता है. ये दुनिया गायब हो जाती है. ये दिमाग गायब हो जाती है. सब the whole life गायब हो जाती है. कहाँ गायब है? We always think in terms of गायब. श्रुति says कोई गायब गुयब नहीं है. It's all laya. Laya means it goes back to source. So, if we think in terms of going back to the source and rising in the source, then we are moving our attention from the creation to the source. That is enlightenment. Tracking the world to its source. Tracking the thoughts to their source. That means we do not live in the realm of, inexplicable appearance, inexplicable disappearance. Whereas Vedanta says explicable appearance, explicable disappearance. The wave appears in water and goes back unto water, not that out of nothing it appears. That becomes inexplicable. Appearing out of nothing. Appearing out of nothing is something inexplicable. And disappearing unto nothing is again inexplicable. And the whole world lives the appearance of the world as inexplicable. पता नहीं कहाँ से एकदम सामने आता है दुनिया, एकदम गायब हो जाता है, आ जाता है, गायब हो जाता है. And this whole thinking, man is transfixed by these thoughts. These phenomena make man totally transfixed. How does it appear? I get transfixed. How does it disappear? I get transfixed. How do I appear in a given form? How do I appear? I get transfixed. I get transfixed. You see? And Vedanta comes and says, you don't have to waste time getting transfixed, etc. You better think. Because the mind rises from its source, the mind goes back unto its source, the whole Jagat rises in you, like the dream appears in you, dissolves in you. There is something to understand, not something to what we call wonder at and give up. And given up. Sometimes it is so inexplicable, you give it up. And that is another kind of wonder. That is another kind of wonder, you see. It is so inexplicable, it is so ununderstandable, it just goes beyond my head. I wonder at it, ye kaisa hota hai? And then because I can't figure it out, I give it up. Here the Shruti says, you don't have to give it up. It is so pleasantly wondrous because it can be understood. It is not frustratingly wondrous. It is not a frustrating phenomenon. It is not something inexplicable means, ununderstandable meaning, something which is beyond one's grasp. It is not beyond one's grasp kind of wonderment or phenomenon. Therefore, Buddhists talk the language of inexplicable appearance, inexplicable disappearance, or appears out of nothing, disappears into nothing. Atha, the last sentence, atha, then, tad asti avayava vetiriktam vastu bhutam. Hey, if you say that tad asti, it is there, the seed is there, avayava vetiriktam, if they change their stand and say that the seed is different from the ingredients, the seed, they do first to say the seed cannot be different from the ingredients, then the ingredients of the seed cannot be different from the seed, as we say, they also accept. But supposing they change their stand and say, no, the seed is different from the ingredients, tad asti avayava vetiriktam vastu bhutam, tathacha sati abhyupagama virodaha. Then again they are contradicting themselves. Why? Because they are changing their own stand. Changing their own stand means what? They are going against their own stand. They are going against their own stand is called self-contradiction. And whenever there is self-contradiction, then what does it mean? Loses pramanyam, loses validity. You can't talk to people, you can't talk to a person who changes his stance. Then you can't reason with him. Similarly, if Vedanta changes its stand, now it says something, then it says something, then it says something else, vagera, vagera, then it loses its pramanyam. The eyes, you see, they have a great consistency. Generally some of these, fashionable people, some intellectuals, suddenly some intellectual comes up. The moment he becomes popular, then he becomes reckless in his statements. Popularity makes you reckless. You don't care what you say because it always followed. Popularity makes whatever you say acceptable. Once you make a name, then you write whatever. It all goes. It's all just swallowed. You see, once you make a name popular, then whatever you say, it gets swallowed. Whatever you write, it gets swallowed. Even your crimes get swallowed. Then you become reckless. Therefore, popularity also distracts you from the truth. If you are not careful, popularity, supposing you have ambition for popularity and become popular, it will destroy you. Supposing because you don't have any ambition for popularity, out of prarabdham it comes to you and you don't care for it, you don't even take note of it, that's a different matter. That means in your view you are not popular. Popularity is not an issue in your life. But supposing a man works for popularity, then it is a big issue, then it is a big thing, big achievement. Then he will always say reckless things. I have prepared the ground for you to hear the next point. Meaning popularity does make man reckless. One of the statements of a popular man is, consistency can never be the quality of the truth. A thinking man doesn't care for consistency. A thinking man doesn't care for consistency, and in fact, a thinking man is never consistent. Why? He is all the time changing stands. Why? What do you mean by that? A thinking man is never consistent. Hey, why? Kya baat kar rahe hain? Do you know consistency means what? What is the definition of consistency? What is consistency? Consistency, underline it and define it. उसके बाद में बात करेंगे. Consistency is a word in English. It brings in prepositions. Like going implies prepositions, like going to. Going to. Traveling brings in preposition. Traveling by, traveling to. I am going means immediately somebody says, where to? Where are you going? Where are you going? And you can become elaborate also. When are you coming back also? When are you coming? These are all not easy. Similarly, consistency means the adjective of it is to be consistent. To be consistent means to be consistent with. Consistent with means consistent with the evident truth. To be consistent means consistent with reasoning, to be consistent with anubhava. That is called samanvaya. In English it is called consistency. Samanvaya is called consistency. Consistency does not mean saying the same thing again and again, that is not change. That is not consistency. A madman is consistently mad. That doesn't mean he has got consistency. I say, no, that is not consistency. Consistency means what? What I say tallies with reasoning, and what I say tallies with the universal experience. What I say is consistent with reasoning, is consistent with the universal experience. To be consistent means to be consistent with the truth is called consistency. Not just saying the same thing. Saying the same thing is not consistency, or saying different things is not inconsistency. Even if you said different things, if it is in keeping with the anubhava, it is still samanvaya, consistence. Now what you are saying, is it consistent with the truth? First of all, define what is consistency. And therefore, people make reckless statements. Whenever you are popular, then you become reckless. That is why we have a vakya. Now forget about it. We have an excellent vakya in the Shruti. It says, we want to destroy somebody. Bhagavan says, whenever Bhagavan wants to destroy somebody, he gives him money and takes away the dimag. Yes, it is there. I mean, I don't remember the vakya, but it is there. जिनको प्रॉब्लम में डालना चाहते हैं, whenever भगवान give him money and take away दिमाग, बुद्धि को ले लो, take away the reasoning. He will just make himself miserable. Miserable means, my God, my God, my God. And sometimes very rich people, very rich person, but no dimag, and ladai karte hain for peanuts. Peanuts, yes, leave it. Shanti. Remember Krishna's statement, 5 गांव शांति के साथ मिल गया तो शांति बहुत सस्ता में मिल गया. This I can never forget, I tell you. This I can never forget. Leave it. But no, लड़ते हैं, ultimately we go to court and we lose everything. And then you lose the good night's sleep, everything, and you are so miserable, and you see a beggar standing on the roadside and begging, and you are talking to another beggar and laughing and smiling and happy. And then you stand there and start wondering, my God, they are much better than me. I am so miserable, I have got so huge everything. Look at them, they are so happy. We are here for a few years and we are wasting time. Yes. How to spend time to wonder at God's creation and to wonder at the observe, wonder at one's existence. Even if one fails to grasp, doesn't matter. Keep in perpetual wonderment and reflection about the truth. Good enough. Good enough. It's like traveling itself is a joy, thinking itself is a joy, reflection itself is a joy. Reaching alone is not joy, even traveling is a joy. Similarly, understanding itself is not the joy, even thinking to understand is a joy. And therefore, consistency must be understood. And therefore, right teaching, the hallmark of the right teaching is consistency. In Sanskrit, the word is samanvaya. Consistency, samanvaya. But if you go against what you say, just in order to oppose the other person, then it becomes really inconsistency. Shastram doesn't contradict itself. It doesn't say, it says something and it has a tatparya. Okay. Similarly, Buddhists also become right. Out of it. That is why, whenever a person becomes popular, without much of exposure to the Shruti, then he will make statements. Consistency is only for the illiterate. A wise man can always change what he says. It is a wise man's prerogative to change his stance. He can go on changing his stance. A wise man has the capacity to change his stance. Whereas the ignorant are so scared of changing their stand, therefore they always remain consistent. Consistency is a kind of a shell into which the illiterate, the lay go into. A wise man breaks out of the shell of having to be consistent. Quote unquote. Doesn't it sound great? Doesn't it sound great? But it sounds reckless, is it not? If you put it to test, malum padenge. First of all, what is the definition of consistency? Okay, it's over. Therefore, my dear Buddhists, you did say the noun and the attributes are not different, and now if you change the stand, you will be contradicting yourself and you lose your validity. Next paragraph. Atha samvriti abhyupagatam bija sanstana rupam upamridyate iti chet. Now the Purvapakshi asked the question. This is all very terse, but I'll try to make it as interesting as possible. You can follow. It takes two hands to make a clap, is it not? ये तो आप सब समझते हैं ना, एक हाथ से ताली नहीं बजता है, दो हाथों से ताली बजते हैं. दिस इज द एडवाइस वी गिव टू एवरीबॉडी. दोनों लड़ाई करते हैं, जब दोनों लड़ाई करते हैं तब कहते हैं एक हाथ से ताली नहीं बजता है, दोनों हाथों से ताली बजता है. इसलिए पति से लड़ाई नहीं होता है, पत्नी से लड़ाई नहीं होता है. इट टेक्स टू हैंड्स. Similarly, Vedanta also, however great is the Shastram, it doesn't create knowledge. However brilliant is the student, it doesn't create knowledge without the Shastram. Therefore, Shastram has to be Shastram, Pramanam, and the student also must make an effort to understand. Therefore, there should be an effort to convey and an effort to understand. Therefore, it takes two efforts to create the light. It takes two efforts to create the light. One is the effort of the Shastram, effort of the teacher, effort of the student. Here is a question. This Purvapakshi says, leave logic. Yes, logically I am beaten. Buddhist says, logically I am wrong. But sometimes we may be logically wrong, but that's what is popular. What I say is popular. That the seed dies is popularly known. the seed dies. The plant begins, the seed dies, the plant begins is according to you. You say the seed doesn't die, the seed becomes the plant. You say the ingredients of the seed become the plant. You say the seed becomes the plant. That's okay. But then what is popularly known it to be? But it is popularly known, the seed is popularly known to die when the plant begins. Why can't we take that popular observation? Leave alone logic. He brings in popularity. It's like, I'll tell you, this is exactly like this. Supposing I go on arguing against drinking. You say drinking is bad, oh. Then you say, yeah, you are right, logically you are right, but everybody, then everybody is drinking, why should I be scared? जो सबका है वो हमारा है. The whole world is drinking. Why should I be scared of drinking? The whole world is drinking. Why should I be scared of drinking? Because your logic has no effect on me. Because your logic has no effect on anybody, and I hope it will not have any effect on anybody. Because it is a done thing. If it is a done thing, what do I do with your logic? It is so popularly. You understand? Ultimately, man falls back on the popularity. Logic just gone. Everybody drinks. What is wrong in that? Hey, telling lies is bad if I use great logic. I say, everybody tells lies. What is? Hey, taking corruption is bad. Logic are all right, but everybody is corrupt, so क्या होता है? One doesn't have. Supposing nobody is corrupt, and if I am corrupt, and if you tell me that I am corrupt, which is not good, then it frightens. Then I feel, lonely. In my corruption, I feel lonely, and loneliness is insecurity. But everybody is corrupt, and I am one of them, and I am with the majority. Why should I feel scared, insecure? Why should I feel insecure? Your statement, the seed becomes the plant and the ingredients of the seed become the plant, nothing dies, everything becomes the plant is a very, very isolated view. But what is the popular view? The seed dies, the plant begins. Why not we go by this popular view? Buddhist says. Atha samvriti. Samvriti means vyavahara. You can first pick up the language. Samvriti means vyavahara. That is how we say. That is how we see and say. That is called samvriti. Samvriti, abhyupagatam, accepted. Means what? Popularly accepted in this society. Popularly accepted. Bija Sansthana Rupam means the look of the seed, the form of the seed, the shape of the seed. Upamridyate is killed. Iti chet. If it is popularly known, the seed does get killed as the plant comes. The seed gets killed. Why not we say that the seed gets killed? Why do you say the seed doesn't get killed? It has inherence, means it inheres in the plant. It becomes the plant. See, becoming means, there is no destruction. The seed becomes the plant. It is not dead. It has becomes. The ingredients of the seed become the plant. The milk becomes curd. So this is called transformation. So when we say the seed becomes the plant, I am only referring to some transformation. I am not referring to any death or destruction. Therefore, in this Srishti, very beautiful Vedanta says either there is parinama, first there is parinama, at the end there is a laya. You see, the mind goes on changing. In sleep it has laya. The body goes on changing in the waking state, and in Sushupti it has a laya. These objects also go on changing in the waking state. In Sushupti they have laya. Therefore there is only parinama and laya. Laya means back to the source. back to the source, so to speak. Back to the source. They go back, they are aware with the source, like the wave, so to speak. The wave goes back to the water does not mean it is away from water. Means that look of a wave subsides. Therefore, whereas the Buddhist now says, but you are right, logically you are right, logically I am wrong, I am being illogical, all right. When I say the seed dies, the ingredients become the plant, and then again if I say there is no difference between the two, then I am being illogical, all right. But is it not popularly known to be so? Is it not a popular view that the seed dies before the plant germinates? Is it not a popular view? Iti Purvapaksha. Clear enough? And now Siddhanta says, see, next Siddhanta. He says, Ka iyam samritir nama. This samriti vyavahara popularity, you say, what is this popular view you are talking about? Ka iyam samritir nama. ये समृद्धि क्या चीज है? What is it that is popular? You say it is very popular. What is popular? What is it that is popular? That the seed dies, that is popular? No, that's not popular. The seed becomes plant is popular. What is popular? And you are interpreting the popular also. Kayam samritir nama. Now, what is it popularly known? It's a very beautiful vikalpa. Like, you create, is it this, is it that? You understand? This is called vikalpa. Is it this, is it that? What is popular? Is it this or is it that? Kim asau abhavaha uta bhavaha. Alright, is seed known to be present or absent? You say, the seed dies. You say, it is all popularly known in the world that before the plant rises, the seed dies. Okay. The seed dies. Okay, which seed dies? Bhavarupam or abhavarupam? If you say it is, it can't die. If you say it is not, it can't die. What is doesn't die, what is not doesn't die. Therefore, destruction is not there. What is can't die, it can change. What is the seed, if it is there, now it can't die. Die means what? It doesn't become zero. वो गायब नहीं हो सकती है. You understand? Suddenly गायब, जादू, गायब. Like a bubble breaks, it doesn't become गायब. ऐसा कुछ नहीं. That entire fog goes back into water. Buddha goes back to the water. Balloon goes back to the air. And in the bubble there is air. Air goes back to the air. And that look goes back to water. And doesn't become गायब. गायब नहीं होता है. And therefore, is the seed bhavarupam or abhavarupam? Yadi abhavaha, if it is abhava, if the seed is abhava, drishtanta abhavaha. Now please give me an instance in which there is something which is not. It is almost touching the sky. I'm telling you. Please tell me something which is not. When you refer to something, then it is. Please cite something. हमारे सामने कुछ ले आओ जो नहीं है. एक दृष्टांत, अभाव का एक दृष्टांत बताइए. अभाव का एक दृष्टांत बताइए. अभाव मतलब टोटल एब्सेंस. Give me an example for what is totally not there. Tell me something which is totally non-existent. Let us talk about something which is totally non-existent. What is it that is non-existent? The moment you refer to it, If you say man's horn may not be there, man is there, the idea of horn is there in your mind. Horn is there, man's horn. The thought of man's horn is there. That very thought of man's horn is what you call man's horn anyway. It is there, bhava. Now please refer to something which is not there. यहाँ पर ले आओ, हमारे सामने वो चीज लेके आए जो नहीं है. Can you have a drishtanta for abhava? Therefore you can't infer the abhava. You can't infer the abhava. Why? Drishtanta abhavat. Drishtanta nahi hai. Drishtanta nahi hai. Nor can you experience the absence. Means total absence. Abhava means, total absence. That kind of absence. Even when you say, when you think of someone who is not there, yesterday is not there now, that's not abhava. It is a memory of the bhava. Memory of the bhava cannot be called abhava. बहुत बड़ी बात है जी. Memory of the bhava cannot be abhava. Therefore, when you remember all yesterday's events, it is not abhava. It is memory of the bhava. Therefore, abhava is not remembered. Bhava is remembered. Memory of the bhava is also bhava. And then where is the abhava? How do you remember? How do you remember the abhava? There is no abhava. Abhava is a vikalpa. It's an error. Abhava is a distortion of bhava. Taranga abhava is a distortion of jala bhava. If you have followed it, you enjoy Ishvara Anugraha. If you are really following what I am saying, then Bhagavan's grace is with you. Totally. Bhagavan's grace is with you. We are following what I am saying. Taranga abhava is a distortion about jala bhava. The water that is there is distorted, is interpreted as taranga abhava. In fact, the presence of the wave is an interpretation of the presence of water. The absence of the wave is also an interpretation of the presence of water. Therefore, even when we talk about the taranga bhava, the absence of wave, is an interpretation of the water's bhava. Therefore, the abhava buddhi is a vikalpa. Abhava is not a fact, it is a vikalpa, it's an interpretation. Therefore, actually, we can never come across something that is not. You can never come across something that is not. You can't refer, you can't point out. This is abhava. The moment it is pointed out, it becomes bhava. Why? It is an object of your knowledge. Any object of your knowledge comes under bhava. In this manner, yadi abhavaha, drishtanta abhavaha, he just, conveys this in one sentence, thinking that the students have the background to know what it means. Shankaracharya writes bhashyam for the Vidwans. Why? Because he expects every Vedanta Vidyarthi to be an adhikar, to be Vidwan. Vidwan means in his own right, means literate. In the paribhasha of the Shastra, he is supposed to have the knowledge of the Shastra paribhasha to study. Therefore, here he simply says, cryptically puts it, if you say the seed is absent, then you have no instance to prove that it is absent. Why? Because you can never cite an instance in which you can prove something which it is not. You can't refer to something which is not. Ye hai. You can't say that. Like the sixth element, he is a vikalpa of the five elements. It just the sixth is a number. Please point out the sixth element. Even when you say sixth element is not, the tatparya means five elements are Yes. 5 elements are. Reference to the absence of the 6th element is nothing but a reference to the presence of the 5 elements. And go by the same logic. The reference to the presence of the world is a reference to the presence of the seer. The reference to the absence of the world also is a reference to the presence of the seer. Okay. Then, yadi abhavaha drishtanta bhava. Atha bhavaha, if it is bhava rupa, bhava means, if it is presence, if you say the seed is a bhava, then tathapi na abhavad ankurotpatti. Then it becomes clear, if you accept that the seed is present, then the plant is coming from the seed which you think is present, then definitely there is no Shunyavada, because the plant is coming from the seed that is, that only proves the Satkaryavada. If you say the seed is not, you can't prove the seed to be non-existent. Because you can't prove it to be non-existent, you have to say that it is existent. Therefore, from the existent seed comes the existent plant. That means what? Something present comes out of something present. Something cannot come from something that is not. Therefore, Shunyavada is out. And take it seriously. That means the background to the creation is not emptiness. The background to the whole appearance is not emptiness, but it is solidly present reality. If that is the thing, then one should live one's life to figure out that background to the whole appearance. Yes. Then life is very interesting. Life becomes interesting only when you have something grand to figure out in life. Something grand to figure out. You know what happens? We talk the language of incentives. You know the incentive. Incentive means prerak. Prerana dene wala. Prerana dene wala कोई भी factor हो, उसका नाम प्रेरक. Say it. Prerak. Prerak. In English is called incentive. That which floods on, that which inspires. Prerak is much more an incentive than an incentive is. Prerak means much more. Prerak means prerana dene wala. That which puts life into your life. That which puts life into you. When you have a goal in life, after achieving which you have no more goal. The ultimate goal, after which you relax for eternity. Think of that. Think of that. There is a goal, after achieving which you relax for eternity. Relax for eternity. It is worth sacrificing anything for that goal. It is worth living for that goal. It is worth living even 1,000 years for. Therefore, length of life should be cherished for that goal. Length of life should be cherished for that goal. Why not? That's called quality of life. Not having merely quality of life means all the time thinking only in terms of carbohydrates and vitamins and proteins and organic vegetables all the time. It has become a big obsession nowadays. Everything organic. After some time we'll have organic husband, organic wife. Organic means deshi. In this manner. That is not quality of life. Quality of life depends upon the quality of the goal for which I live. I am giving a little different definition. Yes. The quality of life is governed by the quality of the goal for which I live. Therefore, the best goal is that by gaining which I relax forever. Problem gets solved forever. problem gets solved forever, that is the best. And therefore, once you have the goal in front, that is, there is the background to this appearance is not emptiness, the background to this emptiness is fullness. The very seer of it is the substance of the appearance. And figuring out that Siva, if that is the goal, then definitely life is very interesting. Life is the most boring thing, I am telling you, minus that goal. It's not possible to be loving struggle. Life, existence is interesting, that's a different matter. Existence is a different matter. Struggle is not interesting. Struggle is not interesting. Effort is not interesting. Nothing is interesting in life. Because everything is struggle, everything is uncertainty, everything is pressure, everything is this, everything is that, and everything is exploitation. Everything is, being trial and tribulations. Life is a series of trials and tribulations. Is it interesting? Putting the other man into trial and tribulation may be interesting, but yourself going through trial and tribulation is not interesting. But yet one doesn't mind trials and tribulations provided the goal is this. Therefore, what makes life interesting is not the abundance of wealth. No. Why? Because abundance of wealth brings pleasures, and pleasures can tire you out in no time. The moment, even sometimes, you use money to get pleasures and you go here and there, and suddenly you discover, my God, all these pleasures are not suiting your system. And you have got into a lot of physiological problems. You have got the liver is resisting, and the pancreas says, Mujhe to jina hi nahi. Liver says, I am too tired. Pancreas says, I am too tired. Heart says, I am too fatigued. मैं आपसे थक गया हूं. What will you do with all the abundance? Lose interest. And therefore, you can have interest in living only when the goal is grand. And what is that goal? That the background to this appearance is not emptiness, it is fullness. It is the very person who looks at the appearance is the fullness. If that is the goal, then life is interesting. I keep on saying this again and again because life is enjoyable only when it is interesting. And it becomes interesting only when you have a goal. And goal means not something to be gained inside time. Just the word goal, it is oneself. I have to reach back myself. That is the goal. If anything else is the goal, life is not interesting. If I am the goal, it's interesting. Life is